That's what I love to hear, and I love the bright yellow shirt.
Andrew Lewis told me that I coach a little bit harder when I wear this yellow shirt, and he plays a little bit more fiery. So I said, since my senior asked me to wear something, I was going to wear it.
So are we going to be seeing that for every single game then this season?
You know what? You just might. Ask Andrew. I'm going to let Andrew make that decision.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you, non-conference schedule, what can you tell us about it?
You know what, Rachel, at this point in time, I really can't say much about it because like most programs, it's always changing. And, I think we're really going to try to stay in state if we can possibly stay in state due to the fact some states have different COVID protocols and the restrictions. So it's changing every day. Hopefully we'll be able to release it in the next week or two. But with that being said, it might change then. So I don't know. I'm just hopeful that we can play some games this year.
You mentioned the COVID protocols. What are they looking like at Chicago State?
You know what? It's tough. Like every program, we're doing stuff different this year. Like, you had to social distance. You wearing your mask when you practice. And like, it's harder for me to holler at Andrew and holler at some of the guys from last year because I have my mask on and I'm wearing the face shield sometimes. But it's different, especially from a coaching standpoint and a player standpoint because I'm more hands-on. I like to get out there and demonstrate, and I like to show guys different things. And but it's been a little bit different. Every program is dealing with it. So, but with that being said, it's just a change of the time these days.
Andrew, for you, how are you adjusting to those new protocols?
I think my transition is going well. I mean, obviously, like Coach Irvin said, he's a hands-on guy. I kind of look at myself like that as well. I like to see stuff like in person and actually see stuff like in person. So it's all new to me, like everyone else. But I think I'm adjusting pretty well.
How has Coach's program helped you develop as a player?
I think mostly my mental toughness. I mean, honestly, I can say this is probably the toughest, like involving practices and stuff. This is probably the toughest I've been through throughout my entire college or entire basketball playing experience. And I think Chicago State has helped me very well on both ends of the floor. I can honestly say I was more looking into my offense when I was like in JUCO and when I was in high school and stuff. But as I got to college, I learned to play like both ends like very well. So I'm still learning that as well, but I think that's what I improved on the most.
You're one of 4 returning starters. How do you take your leadership to the next level this season?
Just by competing. I mean, last year was a great experience for all of us. We we took a couple losses and stuff and some great games that we battled in, but just learning throughout those games and stuff, just getting that experience and stuff is going to help us out a lot this year. So,
Coach, for you, a lot of changes are always happening at Chicago State. How have you seen the culture really change?
You know what? This year, Rachel, I think we have some experience. We have guys like Andrew Lewis that played last year, Xavier Johnson, Rajir Jones, Solomon Hunt, Keyshawn Davis. And those guys played last year, which, the year before when we came back, I looked on the court and we didn't have anyone that really played. And, this year I was trying to figure this drill out. I said, hey, y'all, and Andrew's like, Coach, no, we do it this way. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. Him and X and Ross. So just having guys that's used to playing with each other and guys that understand what we need to do to win.
The conference is going back-to-back games Friday and Saturdays to limit travel. How does that affect your game prep?
You know what? It'll be a little bit different because you're used to having that day off where you could prep differently than what you did from the game before. But, we all need to get used to it. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm just taking it as like when you play in the MTE, some days you have to play back-to-back, and we played in one last year. So I'm looking forward to it that way. But I think because we're a deeper team this year, let's knock on my computer, Rachel, since I'm not knocking on wood. But if we can stay healthy, unlike last year, I think we really have a chance because I think this is the deepest team that I had in my 3 years at Chicago State.
Third year for you, like you just mentioned. What's the biggest obstacle for you going forward?
You know what? Just health. Just health. As long as we stay healthy, this would be a year where I'm really looking for us to turn the corner. And what I seen your leadership, like I mentioned, Andrew Lewis, Solomon Hunt, Xavier Johnson, and having a guy like Rajir Jones as a freshman, I think Ra played like almost 30 minutes a game, Drew. So just having guys, and we brought in some other guys from some junior college schools like Lavelle Ziegler, Jordan Polynice. It brings a different feel in practice, a different flavor in practice, because now guys really have to compete and battle. And one thing you heard Andrew say that he mentioned earlier, you really have to battle in practice this year because you might get exposed. And then your playing time will get cut. Because everybody like to play at that, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Coach, I know you mentioned in years past that you get out there on the court with your team. Are you still doing that?
You know what, Rachel? Because of COVID, I haven't really had the opportunity to get out there like I want to. But the other day I was shooting with Rajir Jones, and I haven't shot in a couple of weeks. And his cheerleader, Andrew Lewis, kept yelling at me because I took some L's, Rachel. But now I'm slowly going to get out there and at least shoot with them. I've been trying to social distance, but Andrew Lewis is going to bring out the best of me, and I might have to jump back out there for a small period of time.
Andrew, going back to the back-to-back games, how do you help your body prepare for the second half of that back-to-back?
Icing, we got great training staffs and stuff that can help us out throughout our games and stuff after we get done. So I just plan on doing a lot of stretching, a lot of icing. I'm actually doing stuff now to get my body ready for those type of games. So just stuff like that.
Well, thank you both for hopping on with me. I'm now going to send it over to Chris Thompson for media questions.
Thanks, Rachel.
We'll start off with Kyle McDonald.
Lance, it's Kyle McDonald from WAC Digest. How you doing?
How you doing, Cal?
I'm good. Hey, with all you got coming back, how excited are you? I mean, last year you said as part of your recruiting pitch at WAC Media Day, you're like, if you are as good as you think you are, come win championships for me. How nice is it to have a group of guys returning that have played a lot for you?
You know what is nice? Because one thing that you can't take for granted is experience. And I think last year we didn't have much experience. After, we had a player that got hurt early on and had to leave for personal reason. We didn't really have any experience. And I think guys like Andrew Lewis, and I keep mentioning him, they were new to the program. This was their guys' first time playing Division I basketball. So just having the experience, I looked on the court the other day. I was like, okay, Xavier Johnson averaged 15 last year and shot like 80-something% from the free throw line. Andrew Lewis averaged about 13 and really came into his own on the defensive end during the second year. Last year, at the end of the season, I started smiling. Then we had Keyshawn Davis that played a lot last year, and Solomon Hunt. Carlo Marble was a walk-on, and he was thrust into duties at the end of the year because we were so limited from a body standpoint, Cal. So just having experienced guys that play and the guys understanding how they need to compete to win in the WAC.
Michael Navarrete.
Yeah, Andrew, this summer was tough with protocols and trying to stay safe. What were you able to do to maybe stay in basketball shape and even get in the gym over the summer?
I did a lot of jogging and stuff, like when the COVID had really started to get hot. So like after we couldn't really get in the gym and stuff, I started to go outside and stuff to at least keep my cardio and my conditioning up just as much as I could possibly. But as the COVID started to continue and some of the viruses started to cool down, I actually started to get back in the gym with some of my personal trainers back at home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And, we got in the gym, we got some shots up and stuff, and tried to stay in shape as much as possible.
Alcoro.
Hey, Michael, he was probably with his personal trainer shooting his step-back jump shots and stuff.
Coach, when you say you feel like you have your deepest team and now you have that WAC experience on the roster, how do you get to that next level where your players have the confidence to win and to close out games?
That's a great question. That's something that I've been thinking about quite often, and I think the only way to do that is to get into some games and win those games. Nothing beats winning. And I think guys understand how hard we have to compete each and every day in practice. It starts with practice. And just getting guys to understand, hey, I have to push him. Drew has to push X. X has to push Ra. Ra has to push LJ. So just playing the games and winning it and just consistently practicing hard every day. And I think when we were able to practice, we had a limited number of practices. So thus far, practice has been really good. So just continue to compete and win some of those games because trust me, I've been thinking about that a lot.
McDonald.
Lance, I have to ask you, besides Andrew, Xavier, you mentioned a few other names. Who else can step up to contribute on the offensive end? I want to ask you specifically about Isaiah Lewis. I got a tweet from his dad earlier this year that he tagged us in about how, he got hurt last year, but he's in great shape now and he's ready to get going for you. Who are a couple other guys that can contribute as much as Xavier and Andrew do on the floor?
If you look to last year when Isaiah Lewis, he was able to play in a couple of games. Those when we played some of our better games, we had, like I called, our three-headed monster with Isaiah out there, X, and Andrew Lewis. And Isaiah was really our only point guard last year. So it hurt us when he wasn't able to play last year. So he's a guy, when he played, he averaged like 11 to 12 points a game. And I think Drew and X, they all learned how to feed off each other. But this year we have another point guard, Lavelle Ziegler. We call him LJ. He's really been playing hard, and he can really play. And we have Jordan Polynice that's 6'6", long, wiry. Him and Andrew Lewis, they go at it in practice. And, we have another kid, I think, Isaiah Anderson, that's really been a pleasant surprise in practice from time to time. And I can't leave out a 7-footer, Andrew's favorite, Lou, from Luxembourg. He's a 7-footer that has a skill set. And you see how Andrew Lewis is down there smiling. So, like I said, those guys definitely. And I'm laughing because Isaiah's father sent you a text trying to promote his son. But his son is a really good player, though.
Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, you just talked about Lou from Luxembourg. How does having that size change your game plan and change how you compete in practice?
You know what, Michael? I'm going to give you a short answer, then I'm going to let Andrew Lewis see what he feels about that size. But it's different. I thought in the WAC, past couple of years, I thought we were one of the smaller teams in the WAC, and I always liked length. And we started off that way last year until the injuries took it over. But having Lewis having a 7-footer, he's a legitimate 7-footer, and he has a nice skill set. He just needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger. But having a guy like Corian Russian from Chicago also, that's 6'6", he plays hard, he has nice size, and he's physical. We have another young man, Arias Bond, from Southeastern Junior College that, he's a monster in there. So now we have guys with some size, skill set, and we have a little bit more toughness than what we had the past couple of years. But I'm curious to see what Andrew Lewis thinks about the size on this team this year.
It's actually great. We were pretty small. We were down there trying to battle with some big people, and it was pretty tough. But we had to adjust on the fly, obviously. But this year, like Coach said, we have Big Lou. He's actually a great addition to our team. He's so versatile. So we're looking forward to working with him.
Hey, Kyle, go ahead.
Andrew, I want to ask you, Chicago State's kind of been stuck in a rut the last couple of years. What do you feel like is maybe a chip on the shoulder of the team to get over, like Paul Coral asked earlier, to get over that hump, win some games, and maybe shock some people, as you have this experience this year with this roster?
Yeah, like I said before, we had some tough games last year that we were in, that we battled and lost. But just like Coach said, we have a lot of experience this year. And it's definitely a chip on our shoulder because obviously we're ranked low in the conference and stuff. And I personally think that we're much better than our rankings, but we have to show it. So this year is definitely going to be a test for us that I think we're going to pass.
Hey, Cal, if I could add in on that, one thing we mention in practice every day is that we have to play better defense. think we got tired, but if our defense picks up like it should be, we should be fine. But, I'm always hollering during the games. At least I started hollering the last 5 games of the season. I got one of the baddest defenders in the league on my team. So with that being said, he understands, and the other guys, they understand what we need to do on the defensive end. So it all starts with defense this year, and that's what we've been stressing in practice. Andrew, he understands. The other guys, they understand we have to be a little bit more physical, rebound at a high level, and just defend our butts off.
Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, Andrew, back to you. So you said you kind of mentioned it about your time at JUCO and at D3 at St. Cloud. What did it mean for you to get an opportunity to come play Division I for Lance and not only play basketball, but to further your education?
It was great. I mean, obviously, as being a basketball player, I think everyone's dream is to play Division I. But for me to go through those levels of Division II and JUCO, and just to see the different experiences and how those guys play in the different levels, to my testimony, that actually helped me out a lot. And to come here to Chicago State and play for Coach Irv, I mean, I was looking forward to this since I was at Highland in JUCO. So this is a great moment for me.
McDonald.
Lance, one last question for you. Last year at the end of the season, you guys canceled your trip to come out to Seattle, Utah Valley, with the coronavirus kind of starting in the United States. Did you think that it was going to be from that point to now, all the craziness that has gone on with it, with lockdowns, with possibly cancellations of sports? I mean, that was a huge decision, and you guys were one of the first teams to start all that. I mean, what are your thoughts on that decision and how it has affected kind of everything, not just just how it's affected everything?
You know what, our President Scott, I mean, I love her to death. And when she made the call on it, I was with her. I said, you know what, President Scott, it's your call. Some decisions are out of my pay grade. And, we took a lot of flack when she made the call. But now she looks like a genius in making the call. And, I didn't think at that point that we would be out this long. And I remember when we made the trip to Vegas and I was sitting next to my assistant coach, Rodell Davis. And he looked at me, he said, "Hey, Lance, college basketball will be different next year." He said, "I have a feeling that the season will be totally different this year." And he looked at me and said, "I don't think we're going to play tomorrow." So I called him the mind reader now. So I didn't think it was going to be this long. It's different for everybody. It's a new normal. But with that being said, it's something that we need to get used to. But it's tough from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint. It is definitely tough. And I feel bad for a lot of the student athletes that can't go to school this year. A lot of the programs doing school online, and it's a different college experience. When I went to school, you was actually able to social interact, which was a while ago. And I tell Drew all the time when I was in school, he couldn't have beat me in a one-on-one. But with that being said, it's different, and I pray every day for the student athletes because I want them to have a great college experience.
All right, Lance, everybody was talking about The Last Dance over the summer. As a Chicago guy, is there any doubt in your mind that MJ is the greatest of all time?
You know what, Chris, you're trying to get me fired up. And the reason you're trying to get me fired up because everybody in Chicago, most people from Chicago know I was a huge Piston fan. So I was mad when they started beating my Pistons, but I love MJ. I mean, I had the opportunity to spend some time with him. Actually, we used to play softball all the time. So I'm not going to sit here and say he's not the GOAT because I don't want to see him. And he called me on it. So now MJ really is the GOAT, but I hate they beat my Pistons. Now, Mark Aguirre is my man, though. So with that being said, though, I love Mark Aguirre.
All right, Chicago State head coach Lance Irvin, senior guard Andrew Lewis. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.